All right, guys, today we have some very big news to talk about coming out of Europe because this situation involves a lot of big name players. I think most notably probably Bwipo, because I know a lot of people have been wondering about what the heck is going on with Bwipo, in the future, ever since it was announced that he was not going to be the top laner for FlyQuest next year. Once it was announced that he wasn't going to be once it was announced he wasn't going to be with FlyQuest at all in 2026, people were wondering, are we going to see him in the LCS? Are we going to see him coaching? Are we going to see him in Europe? Whatever. And now we at least have a little bit more questions answered because here we go from Sheep Esports, the latest report from Wooloo. Adam, Bwipo, Seiken, Exa, and Targamas are set to compete for French Flair at the LFL Invitational. So, some ERL time for all of these players. And obviously, interestingly enough, you'll notice that you have Adam and Bwipo. That's two top laners. That's not going to work. A little bit of a role swap action going on here as well. Trayton builds a super team in order to send players back into Tier 1. So never before has an LFL-related roster looked so stacked for an event before it even started. Even if this one isn't qualified yet for the regular LFL season, for the upcoming LFL Invitational, a special 20-team tournament allowing influencer teams, Trayton will arrive with a lineup far more competitive than originally intended. This tournament, taking place during the winter split over multiple weeks, will see Trayton's team face off against other LFL teams. The name of Trayton's new team will be French Flair FF. While the news is now official, multiple sources have shared additional details with Sheep Esports for this report. So hopefully we get some spicy stuff here. The project, initially possible due to Webedia offering Trayton one of the two influencer spots for their new LFL Invitational, will look far more competitive than expected. At first, supposed to be a team centered around content creation, the plan changed dramatically after Trayton had a personal desire to help Seiken return to competition. A long list of LEC level players had no team this offseason. We got the Team McDonald's type stuff going on. Adam and Exa, both of whom were left without an LEC opportunity, quickly became the backbone of these early discussions. What began as a light influencer exhibition turned into one of the strongest lineups ever assembled for an LFL adjacent event. And that's what's interesting. We've seen like a little bit of a reaction on Twitter about some of this stuff already. And some people are like, hey, this team could compete in the LEC. This team could probably beat some LEC teams. Might even be favored against some LEC teams. Pretty crazy stuff. Competing in the LFL Invitational, this newly formed roster will have the possibility to qualify both to EMEA Masters Winter Edition and the remainder of the competitive year in the LFL. Behind the scenes, the first three French-speaking players involved, Adam, Seiken, and Exa, were considering taking a break from competition entirely rather than building a roster. The original plan for French Flair was to remain fully French, with junglers Theocast and Manatee were early options that were discussed. Trayton himself at one point considered playing on the roster, but while he was motivated, the players were less interested in this idea. That's crazy. Preferring a fully competitive approach rather than a content-driven one. The project was not only built to win the Invitational, but to create a structure where the players could improve, rebuild their careers, and eventually return to the LEC. This group made it clear if the players get LEC offers, the project ends. That is the goal, to get some players promoted. The arrival of Targamas and then the unexpected possibility of Bwipo, pretty interesting stuff here. The turning point came when Targamas became available. For the team, it felt almost unfair. An LEC winning support joining an influencer slot, but it also opened new doors as discussions started with other high-profile players. The idea emerged that Bwipo might be available. The only non-French speaking player had just exited FlyQuest after dominating the LTA North and qualifying for Worlds. Despite exploring options both as a top laner and jungler, he received no suitable LEC or LCS offers. Adam, who had played with Bwipo as a jungler during his time on Fnatic, spoke highly of him, especially regarding his work ethic and intelligence and group dynamics. When Trayton first contacted Bwipo, the Belgian immediately stated that his goal in life is to play competitive League of Legends and to help others improve. This attitude resonated with the entire roster. Every player gave an enthusiastic yes. While bringing in an English-speaking jungler could hurt the full French content aspect of the project, Trayton was convinced by two arguments. In order to convince teams to get French Flair players back in Tier 1, they need to convince the English-speaking and international community, not the French one, and the players themselves wanted to improve, not just roll over lower-level teams, and they could learn significantly from Bwipo. Obviously, the French identity still matters here because the name French Flair reflects Trayton's long-term vision. In the scenario where the project evolves, it will keep a strong French core whenever possible. He believes that just like Korean or Chinese teams benefit from sharing the same language and culture, a tight French-speaking system can be a benefit in a single team. One slight debuff of Europe is the rosters are being built out of players who do not speak the same mother language. Still, the main purpose is to create a long-term LFL team. This roster exists the main purpose is not to create a long-term LFL team. This roster only exists for the LFL Invitational. So yeah, pretty insane stuff coming out here. Again, not only the fact that we now know where a lot of these guys, people were wondering what's going on with Adam, what's going on with Targamas, what's going on with Bwipo. We now know what their plans, for the foreseeable future are. Obviously, all these guys are still trying to make it back to the LEC, to the LCS, but right now their path forward is through the LFL, through the LFL Invitational, all working together, not only to win this tournament, to qualify for the LFL, but also to improve over time, to make themselves all look good, and to hopefully get some tier 1 offers, maybe in the spring split, maybe in the summer split, something like that, who knows. But Bwipo, obviously going to be the jungler for this team, a little bit of a role swap, but now we know what the foreseeable future has for him. Pretty insane, pretty big news coming out of Europe today, so I want to get this news out to you guys. Pretty much it for this video. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.